It's about 1:30 on Saturday, the 25th, Burns Day. Well, Burns night tonight. Picked up our haggis. We got a nice little local fruit pig one. I do like the good old McSween, but our attempt to get some from the supermarket failed. We ordered some from Sainsbury's and it was the one thing that didn't show up. So yeah, we've got a few changes happening over here. As you may have just seen behind us, the plots over the road have a fence line appeared in them. I don't know if that's a new plot holder or it might be just the site manager dividing that up ready for letting out as two separate plots. I'm assuming that might be the case. Over our side, we have signs of a neighbour, which is cool. They've kind of rejected the old fence and tossed it into our plot. But that's my job today. I'm going to dig this fence line, trench it all the way down to the front and back so we can get some wire buried with a proper fence in there. I have picked up the big tub of birdseed because that feeder there is empty. It's also been blown over to the side, which is not surprising. We had pretty strong winds last night and yesterday. Not as strong as the storm brought to other people. These fat pellets I'm not really convinced by. They seem to get caught up and not drop down properly. So I may not think that's quite a success. I might need to modify that feeder or find a different way to load them and just put seed in that one. I see we've got a bit of a storm blow damage over here. Whoops, there goes that fence. Hopefully it hasn't damaged the trunk of that ume tree too badly. And that means I can get over into the next plot, hopefully without twisting my ankle. So what's going on in the polytunnel? Not a lot. We have a bit of a blowabout of those cloches, which is not surprising given that the ends of this tunnel are open. Seems to have blown that wood across a bit as well. The CCTV is once again active in here. And it looks like we haven't had much further plant damage than we already had. So maybe moving that seed feeder away was the right choice. Anyway, I have a trench to dig, so I'm going to go crack on with that and get this fence sorted out this weekend, hopefully, or at least mostly there. I've actually decided the best thing to do is to start by putting the fence posts in. Got a couple of great big posts, so I'll put one in here to replace this one, and one down the back where there isn't one at the moment, just alongside the back corner of that shed. Oh boy, that giant piece of cement came out of that post hole. It looks like it's at least two of the modern little bags. Maybe it was an older big bag. That older post there was what was in it. Pretty much rotted off at the bottom, so that just sort of pretty much pushed over. Large amounts of cement are all very well in a post hole, up until the point that you've got a skinny little wooden post in it that rots off. Not really a lot of use, that. Anyway, it's out. I've got my proper post putting in tools here. Going to dig this hole nice and deep with the post hole digger and get a proper big post into it without cement because it doesn't really need it. Okay. Whew. If I keep going, maybe I'll get home. Righty. That's some good progress. Back post is in. Got the bracing posts pretty much in hole wise, and we've started trenching down the middle here, which is good. So in a way got a little bit more done than planned. Oh. Nice deep holes for these posts. What we'll do is we'll brace that horizontal across there, and then we'll have a wire strain on an angle to stabilize it, and that should hold us. I'm debating whether to pack earth in there or get a sort of a light mortar mix, but that's not today's job. Time to pack up and go home now. Right. Yo boy, it's a bit windy today. Just approaching 2 p.m. on Sunday the 26th of January. We were going to do more post digging and stuff down the plot, but I think we might be calling it short today. It's blowy. We have a yellow wind warning for wind down our way in Norfolk tomorrow, and tonight. Yellow wind warnings for this evening. We kind of missed out on all of the Storm Eowyn excitement. But now we're just down here. We were going to get these posts set in properly, but I think what we'll do is we'll just get a few bits in place. We have just been down to Wicks and bought some cheapy little posts. So what we do with our fences is we pop some of those basic posts in along the length of it, down here, which pretty much just keep the fence up, because the fence will mostly be held up by 2 or 3 strainer wires off these nice big box end posts we put in. I can show you the other plot actually, so the style of fence we do under the gate. So that's what we've done down this fence here between the plots, that style of thing, as you can see. And that has stood up like that for several seasons now, 3 or 4 I think. Yeah, so what happens is these strainer posts, we're putting a much bigger design of this in the other plot. Key things to make sure the wood's nice and thick so it lasts a good long while, without having to put cement in and all kinds of crazy things. So these obviously do break off, but actually it's doing a fine job keeping that fence up even though it's snapped like that. What we can do is we can bash that into the ground a bit more and keep using it, or simply replace it, because the only purpose these posts hold is to pretty much pin it in place. The strainer wire is doing most of the work there. There's a strainer wire there, another one down here. So yeah, that's the style of fence we do. It's buried into the ground 30 centimeters or so. It does tend to keep the critters out, the rats, not the rats, I should say the bunnies. Nothing keeps the rats out because the rats will just climb the posts. Anyway, that's probably about it for Sunday. We will have a little look around and do a couple of basic things, and then head home into the warm and not windy. Oh look, that fence is about to come onto me. The problem with these is I pulled out some of the posts and stuff, so it's not as held in as it should be, because the eventual plan for this old pallet fence that predates us is to rip the whole thing out anyway. Anyway, let's crack on.
Let's fuck off.
Thankfully, it doesn't seem to have hit the tree trunk down there. But yeah, I think this is just going to stay like that. I think it's as stable as it can be for now. It's well attached to the ground. Ooh. There we go. Now it's not gone anywhere. This old blue cage thing is all skew-whiff. We'll fix it up later. We've wedged some sticks here to stop that fence falling over. They're just sort of wedged in there. Hopefully they'll stay put. We don't know, but it's better than nothing. Until it flies free and goes through the polytunnel. Anyway, a couple of quick tidy up jobs on the next plot, and then we are just going to head off. Aside from a bit of securing things against the wind, that's all that we've done today. Kat has put down some extra cardboard and a bit more wood chip to extend our central plot path, so we don't need to traipse through the mud. But this is a very nope. Absolute nope. Getting blown away here. So this tool's coming back with me straight to the car, and we're going home to the warm. Nope, nope, nope. Oh. We'll come back during the week, hopefully. Oh boy, as we got to the car, the wind picked up even more, and it started raining. Well, we got home after escaping the winds and cold and rain of the allotment, and I thought I'd do something nice and warm in the inside in our 10-degree kitchen. It's warmer than it is out there, though. And I was going to sort of get my chili seeds planted. They've been soaked and they're just sort of waiting in purgatory. Purgatory is the wrong word, but they're in the waiting room to get planted. And they're on a little bits of wet tissue paper, and they've had their chamomile soak. But so I've got this sort of stuff sterilizing in a bleach and water solution. I like to keep things fairly sterile for the important things like the chilies. I don't bother with that for all my seeds. And what I realized is I've got to sort the hot fridge out because the hot fridge is actually not ready for use. And that has led to a little bit of electronics going on. And my chilies are not planted yet. So that might be tomorrow's job. And we're running out of time on Sunday right now, and I do have other things to do, like make dinner and write some code. So what is the hot fridge, you may ask? Let's go and have a look at the hot fridge. Meet the hot fridge. It's just a little slightly grotty looking fridge in our conservatory. People may recognize that if they work in pubs and bars and craft beer places. That's a tap shank. Now, this thing has had various roles in its life. It's a working fridge. It does still chill. And it sometimes in the past has served kegs of beer, nice and cold, through that tap. Kegs of wine as well. Kegs of Prosecco, except we're not allowed to call it Prosecco, it's Frizzante. And it's been a homebrew fermentation fridge, and it has had various upgrades. So last year, I think it got these new heating elements down there. And basically, it's a fridge with heaters in it, and that's why we call it the hot fridge. And its primary role in the last few years has been to grow seeds. The shelves all got cut out to fit the fermenter, which is a pity because they would have actually been useful if they were still there. But oh well. So it has some lights in it. They're mainly just for making life easier and working in there. These are a sort of grow light down here, apparently. But it's not for growing. It's basically just for germination. And once things are germinated, they come straight out of this into some proper grow lights or a window shelf or something like that. This is a temperature sensor and humidity sensor, and normally that's stuck to the back. I need to stick it back. This whole thing has just been sprayed down with a bleach solution to sort of sterilize it a bit. It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but lots of bleach. That's the answer. We bleach everything. And I've been fiddling around with all the electronics, which is the main problem. Some connections were loose, and it's just not a great environment for electronics. It's all 12 volts in here. This is all 12 volt stuff. There's a couple of fans in the back, which help circulate the air, mainly to keep the warmth even throughout it. And then the brains of the stuff around here. Now, electricians should close their eyes now because there are some exposed single insulated wires there. All of this is going to go into a project box. One of the things I've just had to do is replace the 12 volt transformer in this nice electrically safe housing now. I will be getting a proper project box from my storage and putting this all properly away. So that there is just a 12 volt transformer. It's supplying the fans and the LEDs. The smarts are in this little son-off device here, which has the temperature and humidity sensor plugged into it, and that's how it comes. That's how it works. However, it's been flashed with a different firmware called Tasmoda, which allows me to do a little bit more with it. And I control that just with a little website it runs, and run it with some little some command line code. I'll show you that. So basically, if I whack in the code, I can set the power it turns on at and the power it turns off at, which means I can have it bouncing around in a range. So say we want to have it at 30 degrees, which is good for germinating some of the hot chilies. We run it between, say, 28 and 30. We actually tend to run it between, say, 25 and 27 because there's always a bit of overrun as the heaters sort of dump heat. So it's a little tricky, but we get there. So that thing pretty much turns on and off mains power, which turns this double socket on and off. So that supplies that. At the moment, that's just the heaters plugged into there. We have in the past also plugged the LEDs into it because they do generate heat too. But right now that's just running off a switch. It gets chopped and changed, and every year there's a few different things that happen to it. It gets a few extra little holes drilled in the side sometimes for gas, for beer, and for extra cables. They've been useful for the cables actually because we've got multiple cables in there now. So we've got a little power over Ethernet over power adapter back there, which runs this little Wi-Fi gateway, which is what this thing is connected to, plus some other smart devices around the place. The Wi-Fi signal in our conservatory is not great. So yes, anyway, you have met the hot fridge, and it shall be germinating our chilies this year. Next to it, we actually have a great big glass doored display fridge, and the plan is to eventually make that the hot fridge. It's not a project that's been able to fit in yet, but that will be pretty good for overwintering things, as well as being a new hot fridge that you can see into without opening the doors. But for now, good old Beco's doing the job. Anyway, we should look at getting some chillies sorted out.